Laura, welcome back to the show. And we had a really great conversation about like the business side of things last time.
hmm
I've been following you for all these years. I only recently realized that you're in the UK. I didn't even know that. Like
Well,
when did that
we know
happen?
each other through the internet, so
Exactly. Yeah, the internet is just like one place, right?
yes.
Yeah, I mean, when did you guys make the move?
Yeah, so I've been living in the UK for 4 years now. Actually, I
Oh wow.
moved in like March or April, so it is like pretty exactly 4 years.
Oh wow. Okay. Um, and where were you in the States before that?
So I have lived mostly in LA, in Venice Beach, and then I was in Austin, which is actually my hometown. I was in Austin for about a year before we moved to Brighton, which is where we are now, which is just south of London in England. Unfortunately, I left Austin before everyone I know moved there.
Right.
Like
Right. Right.
now everyone lives there, but they didn't. It was
Yep.
just me and Noah Kagan before that.
You,
So,
you were there before Austin was cool, right?
but the good news is I bought two houses. So that was a good move.
Okay, very cool. And you have kids, right?
Yes, I have a
What age?
3-year-old, almost 4-year-old, and a 7-year-old.
Okay, cool. So it was just the 7-year-old when you guys made or the
Yeah, I was
4-year-old
actually
then?
pregnant with my daughter when we moved. Yeah.
Very cool. Was the plan to move there like long term, sort of settle down forever in the UK, or was it like a temporary? Let's see how this goes. Like, what were you guys thinking?
Yeah, so my husband Chris is from Brighton, so his mom's here, and he has
Oh, okay.
a brother that's here and our nephew. So we have a pretty and like lots of cousins and stuff with kids. So we have a pretty good base here, and we had been kind of trying to figure out where we wanted to live. So my 7-year-old, was born in LA. I love LA personally. I know there's a lot of LA haters out there. I love LA. I loved living in LA. But LA with a kid with no family around was hard. Like my one very best friend in LA when my son was born lived an hour away. And anyone with kids knows like putting a newborn in the car for an hour is like not a cute situation when you're
Yeah,
stuck on the freeway and they're just like screaming their head off.
I know it
Like,
all too well.
yeah. So it's a bad time. So we're like, okay, this does not seem to be the place with kids. So we're like, okay, next we'll try Austin because my parents are there and I'm from there. And, as everyone thinks now, Austin can be a fun place to live. But we're not loving Austin. And we had always known that we'd do some amount of time in Brighton. My husband's really close to his mom. And, we had just, it was always in the cards that like, we'll live in England at some point. And so we weren't loving Austin. I was pregnant with my daughter, and the pregnancy felt like, okay, this will be kind of a good. I can have her in Brighton. She can be born there, and that can be a good transition. And yeah, it's like once we got here, we just loved it. Sometimes a place just clicks, and you're like, okay, this is the place for us. I mean, I love not living in America.
Super
um,
interesting.
and Brighton is we're just an hour south of London, so you can still go to London for events and theater and stuff like that. But Brighton is pretty small. Like
Mhm.
what I love is if I meet someone in Brighton, I can walk to their house. It's just like it's
Oh, that's
dense, it's
cool.
not that big, it's on the seafront, but it's big enough that there's still tons of like shops and restaurants and stuff like that. It's known as a kind of like creative place.
Yeah, yeah, super cool. We did like around the country Airbnb thing.
Mm,
Um, we had our second. We were pregnant like on our way back. We were like, all right, now
mm,
we're gonna have number two. Let's like book it back to Connecticut. But we
mm,
were sort of like toying with the idea of like settling somewhere else, maybe Austin, maybe Colorado.
mm.
We just came back here because my parents are here, and having like the local babysitter is so
Oh yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
I mean,
Once you have kids, you understand why everyone just like moves back near their
yeah.
parents once they
Yeah,
have
like yeah,
kids.
exactly. Like before that, it's like get as far away as possible. But now
Yeah.
it's like, you know what? It's actually pretty convenient.
Good idea.
Um, yeah. All right. So tell me about not living in America. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, like what was it about? Maybe you realized this after you got settled in the UK, but like what are the things that come to mind there?
I mean, so I think England is kind of like Europe light. So England is not as European as, I don't know, France or Spain or Italy, like more, in some ways more similar to America culturally. But there's just lots of little things like, I mean, one is walking culture. You know, I actually don't have my driver's license, which is a little embarrassing. I need to get my driver's license, but you have to take a driving test, and I'm very intimidated by the whole thing, so I keep putting it off.
Yeah, the opposite side of the road. I mean, forget it.
Yeah. So, you know, we have a car, and sometimes we use it on the weekend to go to the countryside, but you don't need a car for your day-to-day life here. You know, it just like, I remember I was listening to, do you know the Huberman podcast? It's like this health podcast. Mm-mm. So it's a popular podcast where he talks about all this like health and biohacking stuff. And he was talking about how important it is to get sunlight in your eyes in the morning. And at first I was like, okay, he means like as soon as you wake up, you need to go like right outside. And then I realized that he just meant sort of like generally in the morning. And I thought like, who doesn't get sun in their eyes in the morning? Like, why does he need to tell people that? That seems weird. And I realized, oh, it's because, you know, you go from your house, you walk 2 feet to your car. Maybe you don't even go outside, right? If your car's in a garage, and then you like drive to the kids' school, you jump out, like you drive to the office. It's so easy in America to be inside all day, you know, that you have to have a podcast to tell people like get your face out in fresh air, like
it's true.
once
true.
a day, you know? So just, you know, walking to school, walking to my office, walking to the grocery store is so much more common in the UK. And I do think it's a much less consumerist society. Like, again, this is where it's sort of, you know, it's not like people are living in some sort of utopia where no one has any things, but just things like having much smaller houses, you know, you don't.
Cutting out here.
Oh, did it mess up?
Yeah, let me see if I can shut down some stuff here. I think we're back. I think it's good now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I totally see that and feel it like every day in America, obviously. You know, like it everything just seems like so unhealthy here too. I'm always like in awe of everyone who like lives like completely healthy, health conscious lives in America. I feel like it's so difficult between like you go to a restaurant and like everything on the menu is like a massive pile of food, or like you know, the commercials, or you know, the junk food and all that kind of stuff.
Right. To not be overweight in America, you have to be like, I'm really going to devote my life to this, you know? Whereas, because if you live in a way where there's no walking, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to set aside dedicated time to go to the gym just to make sure I'm not sitting all day. Yeah. And I'm going to have to be really careful about the packaged foods I eat. I mean, when you start reading about it, there's just so many crazy things, like all the ingredients that are banned in Europe that America is like, nah, that seems okay. It's like, but it's known to give you cancer. Like maybe, and it's crazy because the food companies make a different version. It's a lot of the same companies, you know, that make the Lay's potato chips or whatever. It's like the same company manufactures a version of the potato chips without all that stuff that they sell in Europe. So you know, if they wanted to, they could sell you the same one in America, but they don't have to, so they don't.
Yeah, crazy. I was gonna ask like about this might be super boring, but like the process of moving abroad. I mean, I guess your husband is a citizen there, dual citizen.
Yeah.
And like getting the visa and everything was like probably not. I mean, you don't need a visa, but
you are so wrong. It is so hard. So yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea about this before. A lot of people think that you just like marry someone from another country and then you can just go to their country. That is 0% how it works. That is not how it works at all. I thought that too. So I mean, so you can, so if you marry someone, you know, from the UK, you can apply to be a British citizen. It's an extremely expensive process. It's an extremely long process. The way it's designed is actually to have you living in separate countries. Like we ended up traveling, so we didn't have to do that. But it's like, wait, what? Like, so it's designed that one person has to be there already because the person who's the sponsor has to prove that they can provide an income for the other person, which is also crazy. So like if one of you were a stay-at-home parent, like women often are, right? Like, so if the mom was the British one and you had a baby and the guy was the income earner, that wouldn't work. They'd be like, nope, too bad for you. Like mom's got to get a job and has to show the W-2 earnings. And that's if you're from like a quote unquote good country that they like. There are lots of countries that they're just like, nope, we don't like the likes of you. We're not going to let you come, or like, God forbid you have some sort of, criminal history. Like if you sold marijuana when you were 20, like good luck being able to immigrate to another country ever. It's very hard and it's very complicated. And as an American, I think we just often don't have any concept of it.
It's true. I mean, the number of people around here, I mean, myself included, sometimes when, during like the Trump years, it's like, oh, we're going to get out of here. Like, forget this place. It'll be so easy to just move to Canada or move to the UK or something like that. Like, no, it's a lot harder than you think.
And there's really only a path to immigration, if you don't happen to marry someone from that country. The way people do it are like to go to university there, and then sometimes there's a path to stay there, or if you have a ton of money, like several $100,000, you can invest in that country. I mean, now like Portugal is really innovating right now. Portugal is saying we want entrepreneurs to have visas in Portugal, which I think is really smart. And hopefully we'll see more countries doing that. But, for example, there's no path for me to help my parents move to the UK. If my parents wanted to move to the UK, they would just have to do it as an investor. They would have to have the money to be able to do it and be investors. There's no, just because they're my parents, and I'm not a UK citizen yet. I'm not I always confuse resident and citizen. I don't have my UK passport. I am here legally, but I don't have my UK passport yet. You can't apply for that until you've been here for 5 years. But once I'm a full everything, there's still no path for me to bring my parents over.
Interesting. All right, so you guys are like basically like settled and like planning to stay there like long term. Kids growing up through the school system there and everything.
Yep.
Very cool. What's that been like for the kids growing up in the UK?
Well, they have British accents, of course, which is very adorable. So my son is 7, so he's in what's called year 2 here because they start a little earlier. Like he's basically in 1st grade. So, I haven't had an American elementary school experience to compare it to, but the education seems better here, just as far as kind of your standard public school. Also just little things like so many of my friends in America, their school starts crazy early. I have no idea why that's become a thing in America. Do you know about this?
Okay, I think it just came back. You said the school starts, and then it cut off.
Okay, so in America, schools have started starting really early in the morning. Does your kids' school do that? They're
in kindergarten and 2nd grade, and they're going to school around the bus picks them up at like 7:40 a.m.
Yeah, that's so 7:40. So many kids in America just don't get enough sleep. It's just like literally impossible. The math doesn't work out. Maybe when they're little they can, but not if they're older and they have to be at the bus, at 7:40. Like if you get up at 7, it's like a mad dash. So, and imagine a lot of people getting up earlier.
With kids sleeping though. They're like sleeping by like 8:30 p.m. So they're getting like 11, almost 12 hours of sleep sometimes. But like, crazy. But like the schedule. What was I going to ask? What else about like kids? Well, I guess they're really like growing. They have like UK accents, so like they. I was gonna ask about like being like a foreigner in a country as a child, right? Like I've had a friend who had moved to France, but like the kids were, they grew up part of their lives in America. Anything like that sort of like come into play with like growing up and.
Well, my kids are not foreigners. I am.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But they don't really have any kind of identity like that, especially, of course, with the language being the same. So they're not, of course, having, to learn a new language or speak a new language. I did realize the other day that they'll have British accents as adults, which kind of blew my mind. Like, I'm used to it now. And then I was
Yeah.
imagining my daughter being like 25, and I'm like, oh, she's just going to be like a full-blown English person, which does seem
Amazing. Yeah.
a little bit funny to me. But I mean, the language thing makes it so much easier. It's incredible. This is another thing Americans just don't realize. Like, learning another language to the level where you can have friends in that language is literally like a 10-year process. There's a huge difference between being able to go to a shop and have friends that you're like making jokes and cultural references. I mean, even here, a lot of things are called different things, and just little thing, like especially at school, they're like, oh, we're having a tombola. I'm like, what is a tombola? And then they said, oh, you bring a bottle. And I was like, of alcohol? I actually am still not sure, because you bring a bottle of something. I think it can be like shower gel or something. And then you like win a bottle, but I'm like, can it be alcohol, or is that in poor taste? I don't know. But there's just a lot of little things like that like I'll have to text someone and be like, explain to me how this works. I have no idea what's going on here.
Totally. My wife is from the Philippines originally, and she moved here, and like she says the same thing about like a lot of these like cultural references. Like, are you being sarcastic, or is that real? Like, I can't understand. Especially, and I'm like from New York originally, so it's like even like things that I'm saying like are just a New York thing that like nobody.
Right.
So I guess like last part of this is you were talking a bit about it, but like entrepreneurship, like doing what you do, running a SaaS business in the UK. Obviously, we know a lot of people in that part of the world, but like, how is that different? Like that lifestyle, any thoughts of like what differences?
Yeah. So I mean, this is something that actually I was not expecting. That's been hard about the move is. I had such a strong network in America that I would see at conferences of entrepreneur friends. I had a lot of close friends that I've never lived in the same city as, but I would see at conferences a few times a year. And kind of all of the kind of small business SaaS space. Like I knew all the founders. It wasn't that hard. And when I moved to the UK, I did decide not to go to anything in North America, because I just had to put a black and white rule on it, because everything happens in North America, and it's such, I have little kids, like to take the time away and the jet lag on both ends and the travel, it's like, it's gonna be really a full week for any, a 2 or 3 day conference is always going to be a full week, really, with jet lag and stuff, like taking away your time and travel. And so I'm like, I'm just not going to go to anything in America, just so that I'm not constantly feeling like sort of like I'm missing out or behind or whatever. I was really focused on building a network here in the UK and in Europe, which I definitely have started to now. But I didn't realize how much happens in America. I didn't realize the degree that America is like where everything is happening with.
So you mean like in-person meetups? Or
everything. So like, I'm bootstrapped, but like, obviously I knew like funding Silicon Valley. That is still hugely, I mean, there's more funding happening around the world, but that's hugely in America. But I think I thought like, okay, well, I'm not raising money, so like, it doesn't really matter where I am. But like, I wanted to do some kind of like mastermind, like business coaching, like something to get help with my business. I found one in the UK. I actually love it. Thank God it's great. I wanted to do something in person. I'm like, there's one thing, like you were talking about, oh, there's so many business coaches, like not here, there's not, like there's a few. But just the whole like ecosystem of, meetups, conferences, or like when I see someone with a business that I want to connect with, like the odds are very, very high they're going to be in the US.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whenever I have friends who move from the U.S. to Europe, the time difference, it always seems like that would be really difficult for me to adjust to. Although today, almost everything that I do is asynchronous, except for like podcast interviews, basically. Mm-hmm. But like when I think about like if I had like a large team that I had to interface with like every single day, and they were mostly in the U.S. time zone, that would be really difficult. Like I have a friend who moved from Portland to Austria for like a year.
Mhm.
And he was like, yeah, I just moved my whole workday starting from 3 p.m. and then I worked
Right.
till like midnight or something. And I'm just like that. I'm such a morning person. I can't
Yeah.
do that. You know?
Well, that's what happened with Edgar. That was a big impetus to move myself out of the business totally, because you can't work those hours when you have little kids. You can't be like, oh, sorry, I'm working from 4 to 8. It's like those are the only kid hour. Like, good luck with your partner being like, yeah, I'll just do everything. You know, like most people don't want to never see their children again. So yeah, if you have little kids, you can't just shift into that evening time, which is the prime American work time. And I'm like you, also, I like to work in the morning. So it's that too, right? So you end up feeling very disconnected. Because I normally end my workday at 3 when my kids get off school, but to talk to you, like I do 1 or 2 days a week until 5. But even going until 5, I still don't have any overlap with West Coast. 5 p.m. here is 9 a.m. there. So they have to start at 8 to have a call with me. So it creates this constant thing where I feel like a jerk, because sometimes I want to talk to someone and I'm like, I want to talk to you, but only if you can get up really
early. There's a
early.
2-hour window that we gotta work on.
Yeah. I'm like, I have a very specific time to talk to you. So yeah, even though it's like, okay, I can still, text with my friends or whatever. The time zone thing is real.
Yeah, crazy. Well, one of these at some point I'll hit a conference somewhere in Europe. Maybe we can meet there. I know I'm not gonna see you at the U.S. micro.
Yeah, I'm never coming to the U.S. So you have to come here.
Yeah, well, I mean, Laura, this was awesome to connect with you and hear, so much of this story. Yeah, thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
All right.